Hello and welcome to SEC Basketball Predictions. I'm your host, Chris Lee. Auburn finally has an opponent in its first NCAA tournament game. That is the Alabama State Hornets. If you've not watched the highlights to see how Alabama State got here, do yourself a favor and see that. That one will be plastered all over the internet for years to come. Anyway, the Tigers, the number one overall seed in the tournament, are going to be heavy favorites against Alabama State. Blake Lovell, get us started. What's the line looking like, and your initial thoughts on this game?
Well, it's a 116 game, so I mean, there's not going to be a lot of necessarily things that stand out probably in Alabama State's favor here as a 31.5-point underdog against the top overall seed in the tournament. But hey, respect every opponent. As we talked about, you can't say anything's impossible anymore in the NCAA tournament just because we've seen everything happen now. But yeah, I mean, I think, from Auburn's perspective, we know what everyone's talking about. They've lost 3 of 4. They're not playing their best, all this other stuff. As I've mentioned, if you combine the opponent rankings in KenPom, the teams that Auburn has lost to in their 5 games this season, those teams are average ranked at 6. 6. So it's not like they have any bad losses, even for a team that has 5 of them. Meanwhile, again, Alabama State winning at the buzzer basically in the first 4 game against St. Francis. It is kind of a wild thing to look at. These two teams are stacked right beside each other in one particular category, and that is turnovers per game. Mm-hmm. Auburn is 6th, 9.2 turnovers per game. Alabama State is 5th nationally with 9.1 turnovers per game. So, again, maybe not something you see often in a 116 matchup, but we'll see if that's put to the test here for them. Because, Chris, I will tell you too, when you look at kind of the opponents this season for Alabama State, if you're just looking at results, how it played out at UNLV, lost by 14 to start the season, lost by 13 at LSU, lost by 19 at Akron, 18 at Cincinnati, 29 at SMU, 17 at Southern Miss, although they were not a great team, lost by 17 at Missouri. So that's kind of your setup here if you're looking at somewhat similar opponents, I guess.
Yeah, the place I start, like if something just completely off the radar happens, what is the recipe? It's that Alabama State just does not turn the ball over. 4th nationally in turnover rate per KenPom. And then I got nothing else. I mean, I guess your recipe would be they hit an unusual number of shots. They're not a particularly good shooting team. They're one of the worst 2-point shooting teams in the country, which, Auburn's got some dudes waiting at the back when the ball goes to the rim. I mean, I guess the recipe would be don't turn the ball over, shoot the eyes out from 3. Auburn is elite at defending the 3, so that makes it harder. So, yeah, I just don't see much of a path here. But if there is a path for an upset or an unusually close game, there it is. For Auburn, I think we just want to feel a little better about how the Tigers are playing. Get a great game out of Janai Broome, play smart, play discipline. What else are we looking for here?
Well, just quickly on Alabama State, they basically got 3 guys who are going to do the bulk of their scoring. Amar Knox, TJ Madlock, CJ Hines, all 3 of those guys averaging 13 or more points per game. After that, you've got a bit of a drop-off down to like 6 or 7 points per game. So if you're an Auburn fan, you want to key in on certain guys. It's those 3 who all were also the top 3 scorers against St. Francis. But I'll tell you what I want to see from Auburn. I want to see them come back out with sort of a chip on their shoulder, because I feel like that was something whenever they wrapped up the SEC regular season title at 27-2. They still had that chip on their shoulder after they went and won at Kentucky in somewhat convincing fashion. Since then, it doesn't feel like they have that same sort of, whatever it was, right? Whatever that intangible was. Losing at A&M, losing at home to Alabama, the Ole Miss game, they won it, but it wasn't pretty. And then the Tennessee game, they lost. So I think that's the thing. They got to get back to where sort of it's us against the world type mentality, right? They're the number 1 overall seed, so they should be able to engage in that and think, all right, it is kind of us against the world. We're the number 1 overall seed. Everybody's coming after us. And, people can say, well, concerned. We saw Bruce Pearl react the way he did to whether they were panicking or concerned or whatever. And again, he brought up the same thing I brought up in terms of just look at who they've lost to. But still, I think they need to get a little bit of that edge back to them, to where it did feel like even having as great of a season as they were having, there were still people out there doubting them, right? Well, now they've gotten the number 1 overall seed. And now they're not necessarily playing their best basketball. They're losing games that early in the season they were winning. And so I think that's step number one. Like Bruce Pearl always says, respect the opponent, right? We had him on the interview a while back. Why is this team so good this year? Why is it working so well? Because we respect our opponent. That was one of his answers. And so respect your opponent as the 16 seed here. But also, again, that's got to be your motto throughout this entire tournament, because I just want to see them kind of find that sort of edge back to them, because I don't know, it's sort of that it felt like it left them a little bit over the past couple weeks.
Yeah, speaking of respecting your opponent, Tony Madlock's done a really solid job at Alabama State. He was actually on the Auburn staff for a while. I'd forgotten that. And was the interim head coach at Ole Miss in 2017-18, went 1-4. South Carolina State for a year, got some coaching awards for that, and then left for Alabama State, where they've gone from 8-23, 13-19 to 20-15 in his 3 years there. So good coaching job by them. Good story. But yeah, I mean, look, they're just going to be overmanning against Auburn, as we are always, kind of already knew. Yeah, I mean, Bruce Pearl kind of laughed off the concern, but I think your point was where my head went to. They're getting different results than they got earlier in the year against the same teams. And you just want to feel something that makes you feel better about Auburn coming out of this one. I don't know if that's possible, but that's kind of what I'm watching for.
All right. Are you picking the Hornets here, Chris?
Spoiler alert, I'm not picking the Hornets.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to pick Auburn, I think, in this one. No, that's it. I think you just want to see certain things from Auburn in this game to make you feel pretty confident that they've kind of, like you said, respect the opponent. And I think that's the phrase here, because this is one where Auburn could come out and, probably could name their score here just based on how well they have played at certain points this season. But, you also don't want to come out and just act like, all right, we're the one, they're the 16, and we're just going to – because remember what happened in the first round last year, completely different scenario. But I think you want to see a pissed-off Auburn team coming out saying, all right, we remember what happened last year. We know we've lost 3 or 4, but we're out with something to prove. And I think that's what I want to see more than anything from this team heading into this particular matchup. But if you're going to pick Auburn too, guess what? You can do it with our friends at BracketBids, because if you go over there, sign up for that free pick'em contest, or start the auction draft league with your friends, family, or coworkers, you can do that and have a lot of fun, because they'll give you all the details on how you set up your league, different scoring models, all this kind of stuff. You get the upset bonuses for the bold picks. So if you do want to go bold and pick Alabama State, you will get rewarded a lot, probably, in that if you want to go that route. For league play, use that promo code SC16 for 40% off. SC16, 40% off. Download the BracketBids app today or visit them at bracketbids.com.
All right. Thanks for watching our preview of Auburn and Alabama State. We're going to be previewing every single game involving SEC teams in the NCAA tournament. So to get that, hit the subscribe button. That's free. Enable your notifications so you see when we do that. For Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Thanks for watching our basketball content here at Southeastern 16.